this is DrumWise Meets, and today I'm here with Gabs Durnye. Hi Gabs.
Hey, how you doing? You alright?
What age did you get into drums, and what bands or artists inspired you when you first started playing?
I would say I completely lost the plot around the age of 10. I was just, blown away by drums and just playing along to records and playing the rhythm. I just felt the rhythm, and I felt this urge to play along with everything that was on the loudspeaker. And I would say probably my first influences were the Beatles and Rolling Stones. My dad was a huge music lover. He was an absolute fanatic music lover, despite of the fact that he was only lacking two major skills. One is the sense of rhythm, and the other one was the pitch. So he didn't have any of that, but it didn't bother him to sing along and clap along, completely out of time and out of key. But he just loved it. So we always had music on at his place, and I just played along. So the Beatles and Rolling Stones, and also a lot of local bands, of course, because I was born in the south of Hungary. So he was a huge fan of rock bands, mainly from that era as well.
Good stuff. And what was your first drum kit?
Wow, my first drum kit, it was, before the real drum kit, I just played on everything. I didn't have any drums, so I was just saving up my pocket money, and I managed to buy like a toy snare drum first, and cardboard boxes, TV cardboard boxes were my bass drums. And so I started out with really, really modest circumstances, and including my first proper drum kit, which was a half sort of like a homemade a drum kit. The shells were absolutely terrible, but the snare drum was lovely. It was a Premier snare. So in my first proper drum kit, I had a Premier snare, which was the highlight of the whole kit. I loved that, and later on I progressed from there. Step by step. It's been a long journey, and but I was always fascinated about instruments. So I started my real drum collection in 1995, which is 26 years ago, and ever since I'm collecting drums. So I've got like 25 drum kits, something like that. So later on, I made up for the lack of resources regarding the drum kits and the instruments.
Awesome, good stuff. And while we're talking about equipment, just give us a brief rundown about what equipment you currently use. Obviously, there's no gigs to be using equipment on right now, but what, if we were out playing and or recording, what would you be using?
Well, my main drum kit is just behind me. This one is a Pearl Reference Pure, a wonderful instrument. It's all mic'd up for Gary Husband, who was recently here in my new studio recording for the great John McLaughlin. So he used my kit because he's a Pearl artist as well. So it's 10, 12, 13, 14, 16. I've got a 22 by 18 kick, and I also got an 18 by 18, just a jazzy, sort of a smaller size bass drum. The Phosphor Bronze free floater snare drum, 6.5 by 14 is my main snare. I've got a 13 by 9 maple shell side snare. So that's the drums. I also use the pedals from Pearl, the Redline Eliminator series. And my percussion set is all from Tycoon Percussion, and I also have a signature pack with them, which includes my sort of signature add-ons, signature sounds, including the jam blocks, cowbell, mountable tambourine, mini timbales, all that. All my cymbals are Zildjian. I've been an endorsee for quite a few years now. I'm really happy with the cymbals. I love them. My main ride is a K custom special dry 21-inch ride, and I use a variety of crashes and hi-hats from K, A series, also some custom cymbals, the Oriental Thresh, China, and also the Crash of Doom, which is a 22-inch massive crash, which you can use for a ride. Fantastic cymbal. Remo drum heads, I've been with Remo for over 15 years as an official endorsee. I also play Vickford signature sticks, the borDo signature Vickford sticks, which is probably closest to the Jack DeJohnette model, because I've been playing the Jack DeJohnettes for 15 years before I had this opportunity to have my own customized sticks. What else? Oh yeah, the Audix microphone. I'm an endorser of Audix. I'm very, very delighted and happy with their sound. I also use smaller products such as the Skygel damper pads and the SimPad cymbal felts. So probably that's my gear, all carried in beautiful British-made hard cases. So I've got a wonderful relationship with Hardcase. You know, Dave Iyer is an amazing gentleman, and I love their cases. I never slept more deeply and more relaxed than since I'm using Hardcase. You know, because you know that whatever road is, they can't throw the drums hard enough to break them because the case gonna just protect them. So big up and big thanks to all of my companies for their incredible support over the years. Thank you.
Excellent. So, a few people over the course of these interviews have found this one difficult to answer, but here we go. It's a bit of a loaded question because I believe that we evolve as drummers. As we obviously grow and get older, we take on different influences. But that said, if you had to pick just one, who would be your all-time favorite drummer?
Oh, it's not so hard for me to answer that. It's Billy Cobham. Billy Cobham is, I mean, of course, I had hundreds of influences and I still collect them. You know, I'm listening to the new guys and I'm totally blown away by the modern players and all the youngsters and the new approaches and new variety of polyrhythms and subdivisions and the whole new approach that they play with. But if I have one huge favorite, the biggest favorite of mine, it would be Billy Cobham. I remember when I first saw him play and the whole approach, the finesse, the power, the sound, the fusion, thinking, and the ambidexterity, incredible hand speed, the balanced feel, you know, that he plays open-handed. If there was one thing I would change in my playing, I would only play open-handed. To me, it really gives a huge bonus and a great, you know, opportunity to express myself, not having to lock myself down to this position, you know, just to be able to play freely. And I remember when I first saw him, I just felt like, oh my God, I want to play like Billy Cobham.
Great answer. Good stuff. And what's been the highlight of your career so far?
Ooh, well, oh my God. Well, there's been quite a few, of course. Now that's a more difficult question for me. But, you know, I've got some amazing moments that I remember, like, oh, well, of course, you know, filming on DrumWise in 2016, that was one of the highlights. I mean, that sort of took my profile to a new level, and a lot of people around the world got to know me. So that was great. But equally, you know, playing London Drum Show main stage, and a lot of festivals, you know, around the world, like the American tours, and my first experiences in Asia. You know, in the last 2-3 years, I had like 10 tours, you know, masterclass tours in China, which was fantastic. And but there's one thing, it's on a really personal level. Probably these are the things that people know about me anyway. But the thing that really meant a lot to me in 2007, before I relocated to Hungary, it's unbelievable, it's 14 years now, Jesus Christ. I had a big 30th anniversary, 30th birthday concert, so to speak. It was my sort of a farewell concert from my home country, and I managed to invite my best friends, and not just the best friends, but like 15 of the top musicians in the country, like world-class level, everybody in their own genre. Some of them are jazzers, some of them are rockers, some of them do more like world music, everything. And it was a huge work, you know, organize 15 people together. And it was also televised. So the national television filmed it, and there was an audio recording as well, which later has been released on a live DVD. Now, so you can imagine the amount of work with organizing the venue, marketing, TV crew, sound crew, backline, everything. So it was a huge work on me. But I remember before we exited the dressing room, one of the guys said, "Man, is there's a complete full sold out outside?" And I just went, "Oh my God!" That from that moment onwards, I just felt like we're on, you know. And as the gig sort of evolved and went on, I just started feeling, okay, I really warmed up now. I really started to play. But before the last finale of the song, there was one moment that I will never forget in my life. I experienced actual musical ecstasy on stage when you just have like a blackout moment and just one double-handed crash, and in that hit, that basically included all my life. So everything, all the passion and all the work and practice and everything that I sort of gained in that 30 years of my life, it was there in that one crash. And I literally experienced that ecstasy without anything. It just, just from the music, from the passion. And that was a remarkable moment.
When you first get a new gig, whether it be recording or playing live or, learn this track and all that stuff, how do you go about learning it? I'm kind of coming from an education point of view here. Obviously, I know you run a drum school too, so you'll be of the same mind as me probably. But, do you transcribe stuff? Do you just listen and just figure it out? Or are you handed an entire folder and they go, "Here you go, Gabs, here's the entire show written out in drum music for you. Off you go"?
Yeah. Well, it's a very interesting question. And of course, it depends on the complexity level of the music. Because if it's just a straight, pop rock music or something like an easy set, where most of the songs anyway, you maybe just enough if you write out the basic groove so you remember. And what I always make sure to write out is the feel, whether it's a straight groove or a swung groove, and also the tempo of the song, because you might not remember, when you're in the middle of a set, with 10, 15 songs, and you think you know it, but then you listen back and it was completely wrong tempo. So probably I would make, the most basic approach, I would make a basic, like a cheat sheet, so to speak. So you have some information about the groove. What is it I'm playing? When do I start? When do I come in? Whether I come in straight away or there's a full bar guitar or bass line or keyboard, or whatever, intro. So I would make some basic notes. Now, if something's more complicated, say, for example, like highly arranged stuff with a lot of, stabs and maybe odd time signatures or odd bar numbers or something like that, that's a completely different fish. So for that, you got to make a proper chart for yourself. Now, again, and then the question, sometimes you're given professional drum charts, and sometimes, very often us drummers, not saying overlook, but we just play from either a piano chart or a chord sheet or some changes. Again, depends on the music, how difficult it is, or whether it's just for a little pub gig or whether it's for the recording session. So there's a whole, different league and different array of that you can find yourself in. I personally think it's very important that drummers can read music, and that is one of the main things that got me working over the last 30 years. I started playing drums when I was 10. I'm 43 now, so I've been playing for 33 years, and I've never done anything else in my life. And reading came as most important when I was really, really busy. And, sometimes you play 5, 10 different productions at the same time. You play in different bands, different styles, different genres. And there's no way on planet Earth that I would remember that. Probably there are other people who say, for example, weaker readers, but they have better memory than I because they were all been relying on their musical memory. I know for a fact that I'm not going to remember because I was always relying on the charts. And I find myself very lucky that, first of all, I started in a sort of semi-classical classical training when I was 10. So I went to the elementary music school. There were melodic instruments, and there was also drum kit. And I learned to read when I was around 10. And so I started at an early age. And from that moment onwards, it was always obvious for me to read. When you see classical players, they not just obviously can read it, but they're reliant on the chart, which is something I don't want. I don't think it's good if someone cannot play without reading. I think the good thing is the balance. If you can read, if you have to, but once you work it out, you don't have to rely on the chart, because you feel the end of the 4-bar period, you feel the end of the 8-bar musical period. If you do blues, then you feel the 12-bar blues, or if it's 16 bars, whatever. So it's very important to get the mixture, a healthy mixture of being able to read and also being able to play without reading. Now, there are a lot of situations when you cannot get by without being able to read. Because when I was 19, I was flown out. That was my first job in America. I was flown out from the south of Hungary to Hawaii, and I played on an ocean cruiser luxury ship in the show band that was playing different music every single night. So we were relying on the chart. There was a 1-hour rehearsal for a 1-hour show, which means you got to get it right for the first time you read it. So that was a really, deep water. I was thrown into the deep water. They asked me over the phone, man, can you read? Yeah, I can. Okay, fly over. And that was like a deep, oh my God. There were some, Latin American artists, fantastic music, but really hard, really, really difficult. And that moment onwards, I realized, oh my God, thank God I can read, and I can at least, work it out. If not for the first sight, but then I can understand the notation and the note values, which is very important. And that kind of thing, and that moment I realized the importance of reading. And I started developing on purpose, so I practiced my reading. I started reading charts that I'd never seen before, like saxophone charts, piano charts, blah, 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 everything, just in order to progress. And in 2004, I got the national radio big band job in Budapest, which is similar to the BBC big band over here. It's a huge job, very prestigious, TV recordings all the time, Walt Disney film recordings all the time. Like, we were in the studio, literally working in the studio. So in there, when you play with 80-piece classical orchestra plus the big band, there's no time for anybody to wait for someone who can't play what's written. Mm-hmm. So that was a deep roast. But these things, make you be a better reader and make you realize the importance of certain gigs. And also, our idols, like the Peter Erskine, Vinnie Colaiuta, they're famous monster readers. They read absolutely everything for the first sight. So that's the aim. I probably am never going to end up working towards that, but I'm still doing it. So yeah.
We talked about career highlights earlier. Now, slightly different end of the scale here. This can be whether it be equipment fails or, brain fails. Have you ever had anything go wrong on stage that you have had to recover from that you're happy to tell us about?
Oh, but plenty. And something always goes wrong. Sometimes, the bass drum beater, it happened to me, once I broke a bass drum beater. I'm not a particularly heavy player, I don't think, and indeed, I know for a fact that I'm not particularly heavy, because in my early years, I was told that I'm playing too loud. So people said, man, we can't play with you because you're too loud, because I came from a rock background, and later when I opened up towards jazz and Latin music, and they just told me, we can't hear what we play because you're so loud. So I had to learn to play quieter, which I'm ever thankful for, because you need to be able to play on all levels. So that was a faulty beater, the little rod that holds the bass drum beater, and that broke in the finale of the Thriller live show. I think we were in Zurich, and we played Thriller. That was a big number. You dig in, I probably played with intensity. Of course, you have to. When you have 5,000 people doing this, of course you're gonna play. So I was playing, and somehow it just broke. And I had this in the middle of the finale. You really need the bass drum there, 4 to the floor. And somehow I had this realization that it was played on the Roland TD-30. That was the time when I signed up with Roland as an official artist. And somehow I had this flash moment that on the next set of sound, it was all recorded, and they were sort of imitating the original Michael Jackson sounds from the album. This is why we had to use the Roland rather than an acoustic kit, because they wanted the matching sound from each, Black or White, Billie Jean, Beat It, all the hits basically. And I remember I had this flash moment that in the next set of sound, there's a kick drum sound on the left-hand pad, because I think it was, it's in Black or White. There's a double bass drum in the middle section, and most of the other drummers, there was another drummer by the name of Mike Bradley, dear friend of mine in the West End, and also several Daps, they were not playing double kick. So I always been, but therefore the way the kit's been designed is you had a single pedal and a left hand pad. So we did between the right foot and the left hand. Those two added up to 16 notes. So I just remembered that, oh my God, there's a kick on the left hand pad. So I just suddenly, during the song, I changed the sound to the next set, and I started playing the kick with my left foot, the left hand. So suddenly the two-handed pattern became one-handed, but it was much more important to have the four to the floor kick, even though it was slightly different sound, but sort of saved the finale of the song. That was one of them, but there was plenty of this. You know, always something goes wrong. You just got to be prepared.
Oh, that's a good story and a good save. Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Now we're moving away from drums a little bit here. I've got a couple of curveball questions for you. So my first curveball question is, what are your hobbies away from drums?
Oh, wow. Hobbies, you know, I have a little boy, you know, he's 3.5, the funniest thing on earth. Nothing entertains me more than playing with him. So when you know that, okay, you can switch off from work, which hardly ever happens, but when I manage, we have the laugh of our life. He's so funny. His name is Aaron, and he's cheeky as anything. He comes down and he plays along to Paw Patrol. He destroys everything that he finds in the studio. And I love playing football with him. You know, he's really the apple of my eye. I love playing with him, you know, with his cards and football and everything. For me personally, I really love playing ping pong. Table tennis is a huge hobby of mine. I always love playing ping pong. I've never been very, very good, but that's not the point. It's just the enjoyment. So luckily, both of my best friends are really good ping pong players. So we always love to play. And, you know, just socializing, being out there, meeting friends, talking to my sister. I love to play better piano. So I've got my little electric piano there, which I never have the time to practice, but I hope maybe before I retire, I'm still going to have the time to practice a little bit. I love singing. I would love to be able to play my favorite songs and sing. I always loved singing. That's the only thing I remember that I started before drumming. I was always singing since the nursery and primary school. I was always singing. I love singing, and I love nice harmony and piano. So if I had the time, I would definitely practice more. I love all sorts of sports, you know, football and basketball, tennis. I love playing tennis with my mom. She's sweet as anything. She loves playing. So I love all the sports, and ping pong probably is my favorite. Darts, I'm absolutely rubbish. Pete Lockett always beats me to darts. Terrible. Even if he's sitting with closed eyes, he would still beat me. I told him, you can tell that you spent 20 years in the pub, mate. I love darts. I'm rubbish. I'm absolutely rubbish, but I still love it. You know, it's a good laugh.
The next curveball question here, which is possibly the most important question of this entire interview. So, what's your favorite biscuit?
Favorite biscuit?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Whoa. Wow. Digestives, I love them. They're just good. And, you know, I like international food because I travel a lot. So I've got different favorites which probably not many people know. Yeah, flapjack, lovely. Digestives, amazing. A lot of different types. You know, wherever I go, I'll try to make sure to socialize with the local people and make myself familiar with the local food and local tastes and all sorts of foods and drinks and everything. It's just, you know, once you're out there, you just need to try. So I've got a lot of favorites. I love all the good food and the good wine, definitely.
And a digestive, are you a fan of dunking?
100%. You need to do that, then.
into tea or coffee?
Both. I mean, coffee, I'm a big coffee guy. I really like good coffee. On that note, I'm just going to have one in a minute. But yeah, tea is nice as well. I mean, coffee, yeah, good coffee, yeah, good. I'm a coffee boy.
Awesome. So you weren't expecting that one, were you?
No, 100% not. You got me on that one.
We've had some incredible answers to that. I've on this, you know, I say like the interview, it's only as long as the answer. Some people, honestly, they spent 15 minutes answering that question.
Yeah.
If you could give just one bit of advice to people starting out playing the drums, what would that be?
Oh, one advice. Play for the music, not for the drummers. That's my favorite quote. I read it on someone's page, and I think that really resonated with me. That basically it's the other musicians that are going to hire you, not necessarily the drummers. So, and those people are not interested in your chops. What they care about is whether you can jail in musically and personally. So what you want to do is you want to choose your volume accordingly. You want to choose your drums, your style of playing according to the composition that you're about to play. And on the side note, it's very important that you're able to play more than one style, because unless you want to be a one-trick pony, which I found extremely boring, having to play the same thing over and over again, which is sort of the downside of having a big gig, because once you have a big gig, you're touring with the same band, you're seeing the same faces, and you end up playing the same music all the time. If you're very lucky, you manage to get a break. If not, then you might have a more sort of musically and personally varied career when you get to play different styles of music, which has always been my forte. And I came from rock, you know, even my first drum kit was with two bass drums, you know. So for me, playing or whatever was obvious, you know, and natural. Some people can't learn to play the double kick because they never use their left foot. Now, other people who came from a jazz background, for them it's completely natural to play swing, you know, while other people who learn it later on, they really struggle because they play too straight, you know, they used to playing pop and rock, so they just don't feel the jazz. So I think it's very important from an early age to keep an open mind. That's the most important thing, open mind, and learn all the musical styles, and don't be too technical in the sense that technique is there to support your musical expression and not the other way around. So you're not supposed to play a certain music at a certain tempo because then you can, you know, squeeze in that particular fill that you practice for 2 weeks. It's completely the wrong way to approach it. It's the other way around. So it's good to have nice technique. I always enjoyed practicing technique. Nobody ever told me to practice technique. I wanted to do it because I wanted to play with loose hands and balanced feet. But it's just there for me to support the music that I'm playing at the moment in time. So these are the most important things, and also it's great fun, you know, to play with other people. So you wanna find your voice, and you wanna find your band, whatever style that might be, and for that you need to be able to cover more than one style. So that would be my best advice.
So Gabs, thank you so much for spending your time with us here at DrumWise today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Pleasure is mine. Thanks ever so much for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the approach, you know, to asking for this interview. It's been a great pleasure. I really enjoyed very good questions, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon in person.